The Chery QQ3 is back, and 27,000 pre-orders in 3 hours suggest China is very much ready for it. Nostalgia is a powerful commercial tool, but it's also a genuinely dangerous one. Get it right and you tap into emotional territory that rational marketing simply can't reach. Buyers who connect with a nameplate on a level that goes beyond specifications and pricing and into something more personal. Get it wrong and you produce a vehicle that trades on memories without earning the connection, leaving buyers feeling vaguely patronized and the brand looking like it ran out of ideas. The gap between those two outcomes is narrower than it appears, and Chinese manufacturers have been navigating it with increasing sophistication as the domestic EV market has matured into something genuinely unlike any other automotive ecosystem on the planet. Chery's decision to revive the QQ3 name for a new fully electric 4-door hatchback sits firmly in the first category, and the numbers suggest that consumers agree with that assessment. Pre-orders opened on February 7th, and within 3 hours, 27,319 bookings had been recorded. That figure requires a reservation payment of 99 yuan, roughly 14.4 USD, which converts into a 999 yuan discount when official sales begin. It's a symbolic commitment rather than a serious financial one, and these kinds of reservation systems need to be read carefully in the Chinese market, where they've become a standard part of launch strategy. But 27,000 bookings in 3 hours isn't a number you manufacture through clever mechanics alone. There is genuine anticipation here, and it's worth understanding why. The QQ badge carries real weight in China's automotive history, and not in the vague generational way that some heritage nameplates rely on. The original QQ arrived in 2003 and became one of Chery's genuine foundational success stories, a compact, affordable, characterful city car that helped transform the Wuhu-based manufacturer from a regional curiosity into a volume player. Over the following decade, more than 1 million units were produced across the QQ3, QQ6, and QQ-Me variants. Production ended in 2014, leaving behind the kind of legacy that stays in a market's cultural memory because the original vehicle was genuinely liked rather than simply purchased. People who grew up riding in QQs, or whose families owned them during the brand's peak years, remember them with actual affection rather than the mild nostalgia that gets projected onto vehicles that were merely ubiquitous. Chery's attempt to brand revival from 2021 onward with the QQ Ice Cream and QQ Domi, electric city cars that were basic, affordable, and positioned firmly in microcar territory. They were fine vehicles for what they were, but they didn't really move the QQ story forward so much as extend it sideways. The 2026 return of the QQ3 is a different proposition entirely. This isn't a microcar or a budget runabout. It's a mainstream compact electric hatchback built on a modern platform, equipped with technology that would have been considered premium segment territory not long ago, and aimed squarely at the segment that currently represents the highest volume and most intense competition in China's entire domestic EV market. The segment leader the QQ3 EV is targeting is the Geely Xingyun, China's best-selling vehicle of 2025, full stop. Not just best-selling EV, but best-selling vehicle, with domestic sales of 465,777 units. That's an extraordinary number that reflects both the Xingyun's genuine quality and the scale of the market shift toward electric mobility in China. The same vehicle is sold internationally as the Geely EX2 and manufactured in Malaysia under the Proton E-Mass 5 nameplate, giving it a footprint that extends well beyond the domestic market. Competing directly with a product at that level of commercial success and market penetration is an ambitious choice, and it signals how seriously Chery is taking this return of the QQ3, rather than simply coasting on nameplate recognition. Pricing is expected to fall between 70,000 and 110,000 yuan, which positions the QQ3 EV in a bracket where affordability alone isn't enough to differentiate. At that price point in China's current EV market, buyers have options, genuine, well-executed options, from manufacturers who have spent years refining their products. Standing out requires design appeal, technology credibility, range confidence, and the kind of overall execution that makes a vehicle feel worth choosing rather than simply worth considering. From what's been revealed ahead of the March 10th launch, Chery seems to understand that.
The exterior design is the most immediate departure from everything the QQ name used to represent, and it's a departure that works. Where the original QQ was boxy, simple, and charming in a purely functional way, the new QQ3 EV adopts a rounded, retro-modern aesthetic that manages to feel contemporary without losing the approachable, friendly character that defined the original's appeal. Large oval-shaped headlights and matching taillights create a visual coherence across the front and rear. Integrated double horizontal daytime running light strips reinforce that signature, and the overall silhouette emphasizes smooth surfaces with minimal sharp creasing. It's a design that prioritizes approachability over aggression, which is exactly the right register for a vehicle targeting urban buyers across a broad demographic range. Semi-hidden door handles, gloss black cladding around the wheel arches and lower sills, a subtly slanted D-pillar, and a floating C-pillar treatment add visual interest without complicating the clean, rounded overall impression. Dimensionally, the QQ3 EV measures 4,195 mm in length, 1,811 mm wide, and 5,569 mm tall on a 2,700 mm wheelbase. For context, it's 60 mm longer and 6 mm wider than the Geely EX2 it's targeting, while sitting 1 mm lower. These proportions represent a dramatically larger footprint than any previous QQ generation. The original was a genuine microcar, and this is a proper compact hatchback, which means the interior space potential is in a completely different league from what the nameplate has previously offered. The vehicle is built on Chery's T12 platform, which is designed to support modern electric powertrains and contemporary safety architecture, giving the QQ3 EV a foundation that's appropriate for its ambitions, rather than adapted from something designed for a different purpose. The interior is where the generational leap from the original QQ becomes most striking, and where Chery has made some decisions that genuinely distinguish the QQ3 EV from segment expectations. The centerpiece is a 15.6-inch floating touchscreen with 2.5K resolution, which is a large display with impressive specifications for a vehicle at this price point. It's powered by a Qualcomm Snapdragon 8155 chip, a processor that typically shows up in considerably more expensive electric vehicles, and its presence here reflects Chery's clearly stated intention to deliver advanced infotainment capability within an accessible price range, rather than treating technology as an excuse to charge more. A rectangular digital instrument cluster sits ahead of the driver. A flat-bottom, two-spoke steering wheel with a contemporary design completes the driver-focused layout, and oval air conditioning vents echo the exterior theme in a way that gives the cabin a genuinely coherent visual identity, rather than a collection of individually resolved elements. Physical controls are retained in the central console area, which is the right decision for a vehicle whose buyers will include people who find all touchscreen interfaces actively frustrating to use while driving. The balance between touchscreen functionality and tactile usability is something the industry has been struggling with since the trend toward minimalist digital cabins accelerated, and the QQ3 EV's approach suggests Chery has been paying attention to the feedback that's come from markets where pure touchscreen control has received a more mixed reception than its proponents expected. A 50-watt wireless charging pad and dual cup holders handle everyday practicality without drama, and ambient lighting with 256 color options adds a level of cabin personalization that's genuinely unusual at this price point and segment. Connectivity is comprehensive in a way that reflects Chinese consumer expectations around smartphone integration and over-the-air capability. The system supports CarPlay, HiCar, and CarLink across a broad range of devices. OTA updates enable ongoing software development after purchase, and an AI voice assistant handles natural language interaction with navigation, media, and vehicle functions. These aren't features that need selling as premium additions. They're baseline expectations in China's current EV market, and their presence confirms the QQ3 EV is built around contemporary usage patterns rather than adapted from a different era's product philosophy. Powertrain options provide meaningful flexibility. The entry configuration uses a rear-mounted electric motor producing 78 horsepower, while the more powerful variant delivers 121 horsepower from the same rear-drive layout. That rear-drive configuration is worth noting because it's relatively uncommon in this segment where front-wheel drive dominates, and it may give the QQ3 EV a distinctive driving character that differentiates it from front-driven competitors in ways that go beyond specification numbers. Battery options are lithium iron phosphate packs of 29.5 kilowatts and 41.3 kilowatts, with CLTC-rated range figures spanning from 310 to 420 kilometers depending on configuration. Driver assistance capability is expected to include Chery's Falcon 500 system with high-speed navigate on pilot functionality, the kind of feature that represents remarkable democratization of advanced assistance technology when it appears in a compact hatchback at this price point. Whether the QQ3 EV can genuinely challenge the Geely Xingwen's dominance will depend on final pricing, how the specifications translate into real-world ownership experience, and whether the nostalgia factor combined with genuine modern capability is enough to shift buying decisions in a market where rational evaluation and rapid brand switching coexist in ways that more established automotive cultures find difficult to fully understand. The pre-order momentum is encouraging. The product itself looks substantially more competitive than the nameplate's recent history might suggest, and Chery clearly understands that bringing back the QQ3 only works if the vehicle behind the badge earns the name rather than borrowing it.